Hi, it's Anne. Thanks for stopping by. We're going to be doing today a project that I've been wanting to do for a long time. Well, at least for the past 3 months. My YouTube friend, Julie Torrens, has a wonderful series of videos that I will link to her channel, but if you do a search on Julie's channel for Very Beginning Watercolor, you will find some absolutely wonderful tutorials that will help you pick up a little paintbrush and use some watercolors and make some really, really charming pieces of artwork. And I will show you the very first piece that I did based on one of Julie's videos, and that's her dancing dolls. This is a video that has become wildly popular among the crafting community. I think she has more than 17,000 views on it, and well-deserved, because she just shows how with just some really simple pencil strokes, you can make a stick figure and put a dress on it and watercolor it and just make it come to life with these little spatters and these little whimsical dresses and these cute little hands that kind of look like little mechanical parts. They're whimsical, they're fun, they're fantasy, and we're going to do some today. This is the one that I did right away after I saw Julie's video a few months ago, and I've been wanting to make a video of my own because I really want to encourage you, if you would like to get into doing some very simple watercolor work, whether you're an expert or whether you're just a beginner, this is something you can do. My video today is not going, you are not going to be learning from the expert today from me. You are going to be observing a beginner, observing a neophyte. And I do that because I really want to encourage you to try that. For the expert tutorial, you're going to go over to Julie. So hopefully between the two of you, we can encourage you to do this because they're super, super fun. I'm going to do something a little bit different though. Instead of using watercolor paper like I did on this one, I'm going to be using book page, and because that's sort of my style for putting things into a junk journal. So I thought maybe I would make a tag or something like that, and use a book page that I had put some gesso on. And I think because this is narrow, I'm just going to do a couple of girls on here, and we'll just kind of see how this goes. I haven't ever done them in this sort of orientation before because I love having 3 of them together. But let's just do 2 so there's room for them here. And these are the steps that I learned from Julie. Maybe I'll come in a little bit closer here. There we go. Not that it's fine art that you're going to be seeing today, but it is going to be easy. Yeah. Let's just start by drawing an oval here. And let's do another oval. Over here, and that's the head. And then we do a neck and a neck. I'm making them kind of at angles because these girls are going to be dancing. Julia just has such a good way of teaching this. She takes you through every step, and it's just she's so calm and easy to watch. And we're going to draw our shoulders that are going to be just a little bit wider than the head. Don't worry about measuring it. And then we'll do a body. And then we'll do hips that are going to be about the same width as the shoulders. And then we're going to put legs on. And I'm going to make this leg go out here because she's going to be dancing a little bit. And where is this gal's legs going to go? I could make them crossing. No, I think I'm going to that looks a little bit weird with that leg being long. There we go. We'll see how that looks once we have her dress on her. And let's put our arms on. We're not really worrying about proportionality. Let's have this one come down here. And this one up here. And then the hands, again, they're not made to be realistic looking, but it's like a little C shape. And Julie advises us the thumbs, if you think the C, you know, with a thumb, have the thumb be towards the middle. So you have some consistency there. And there we go. Now, these girls need to get dressed. So we're going to just draw some little dresses on them. Maybe a little curve of a neckline there. And then short sleeves. And then the dresses that come down over the hips. You can make that hem a little curved if you want. And let's let this gal and I've got a little bit of overlapping here, but I think we're just going to be okay with that. Maybe I'm going to erase this line and let this dress be the one that takes center stage. And I'm going to put a little bit of a curve here to just kind of show it sort of fluttering. There we go. Now, this has kind of a weird look to it, doesn't it? Well, your eraser is your friend. And this gessoed book surface, you can erase really nicely on this, as you can with watercolor paper. But I'm just going to erase the innards here. And I think since she clearly is in the background, I'm going to erase this part of this gal's hand. Let's get her stick body gently erased here, so that the dresses are going to be what's visible. And then we're going to get into the painting. There we go. Again, just don't worry about anything with these. Just do them. That is what is super, super fun about this. Okay, now I'm going to come in with my watercolor brush. And I'm going to begin by prepping some watercolor paints for the skin tone. And let's remember, there's lots of different skin tones, so let's celebrate them all. That's what we're going to do today. There's this little peachy one I'm going to put on here and try to pick up a fair amount of pigment. And then a nice rich brown. And I have 2 glasses of water over here. One is clear and one is for rinsing my brush. There we go. All right, now I've mixed that. I'm going to do something a little bit different than Julie does. I'm going to put some clear water down. Again, this is not because I'm an expert. I am not. But I've taken several online watercolor classes. That was one of the things I really enjoyed doing over the course of the summer. And I learned about this wet on wet technique where you just sort of paint clear water in the area where you want to paint. And I'm doing that because I want my pigment to be a little diluted by the water so that the color is more sheer. I'm going to go into my beautiful brown here. And because I want the words, well, I'm drawing this particular head on a blank area of the book page, but down here I want the words, the text, to be able to show through, because that's just sort of my style. Yes, please, please, please celebrate all skin tones when you're doing your watercolor. All right, now I'm going to just draw or paint on top of this pencil line for her arm. And yes, the pencil line is going to show. Julie says, if you get better at doing this, am I still in frame? I am almost not in frame. Let me pull back here. There we go. Julie says, as we get better doing this, we might not even have to do the pencil marks. I think I'm gonna pull a little more of this rich brown in here because I want a little more pigment. In this part. There we go. Her legs look awfully short, don't they? I don't mean to keep second guessing myself, but I think I'm going to make this gal, I'm going to make her legs go down here just a little bit more. There, we'll kind of see how that works. I'm glad I forewarned you. This is not the expert. This is not a master class. You are observing somebody who doesn't know how to do this, but is learning. And maybe that's you too. Let me know. And if you're more of an expert at this, my golly, start your own YouTube channel. I would love that if that happened. Okay, I'm gonna put just a little more paint up here on her lovely little head. We're just gonna imagine her beautiful expression. We're just gonna imagine what she's doing, what she's thinking. All right, let's put the skin tone in our other gal. I don't mind using the term gal. I know some people don't like that. I get, maybe, I don't know. It's just not, you know, I'm kind of sensitive to, you know, terms that are, there's a lot of terms we used to use that, you know, we just don't use anymore, which is, you know, perfectly appropriate as we grow and we learn. But, you know, using the term gal, I just think it's just sort of a good one. So I hope referring to these little creatures as little gals is not bothersome. I just painted in her head with the water, and then I'm just letting that paint drop down into that wet area. So it's not going to be smooth, it's going to be kind of splotchy, but it's going to dry beautifully, I think. All right, let's get her arms are painted here. Then we'll decorate her dress, and then we'll do some florals, which I have not done at all yet. We'll do that while this one dries. I could paint shoes on them, I guess, if I wanted to, but I like the idea of these gals dancing barefoot. There we go. And they do not need hair to be beautiful. They do not. Okay, you can kind of see where we're going here. Now, let me erase a couple more of my crossover lines. And what color should we make their dresses? I kind of want to go with some blue and purple. That seems nice to me. Purple is kind of an interesting fall color. I've been wanting to use purple, just little touches of purple more in my fall color schemes lately. So I'm rinse off my brush and dab it on the little towel that I have here. That's one thing Julie is really good about telling us, that you know, you rinse, you dab till it's dry, and then you get back in. She's really good at those steps, which I don't think I have mentioned too much as I'm going through this. Now this, I'm not doing the wet on wet technique. I'm going in on my dry area because I want these dresses to be a little bit darker, but I think that text is still going to show through okay. So we'll see here. Oh, I need another sip of coffee. And certainly if you have a palette, you know, you can mix lots of different colors around. That's something I really kind of hope to learn as I practice more with watercolor. I'd like to, you know, kind of learn to do some pretty little landscapes or things like that, but all in good time. I did a fair amount of watercoloring practicing when we were camping over the summer. So again, practice. Now, one thing I saw Julie do with her floral technique. Now you can see this is super uneven here, and that's a rookie move. But I'm going to put a little clear water just on top here in hopes of blending this in a little bit more. I like the you know the changes in the shading, but this is a little more blotchy than I like. So I'm just adding a little bit more water, and that pigment that's one thing I find fascinating about watercolor is the pigment just flows. You add that water and things just kind of flow into one another. And it's just really, really fun to watch and to kind of see, you know, things kind of bloom a little bit. Put a little more here closer to this pencil mark. Oh, golly, I forgot to give that gal a foot down there. Sorry about that, sweetheart. I feel close enough to her now. I can call her sweetheart. I wouldn't normally use a term like that. There we go. All right, good. Now she's not footless. She might be footloose, but she's not footless. And what is her little dancing partner's dress going to be like? Julie puts lots of cute polka dots on her dress, but let's go with blue here. Yeah, tell me what your feelings are about watercolor. I love that it's not messy. You know, it's not, you know, you can do it in a fairly controlled area. When I was camping, you know, I just took everything, and I had this, you know, a little bin like this, and just put a small pad and this set of watercolors in it, and sat out at the picnic table, and I painted a lot of mushrooms. I painted a lot of ferns. This is getting kind of blotchy again, but we learn with every set we do. And when it dries, it just, I don't know, it just looks good. And I see that I forgot to paint their necks, so I'm going to go back in with my flesh tone. And yeah, this would not win any prizes at the county fair, but will it be something lovely and adorable to add into my my whimsical junk journal as a pocket? Yes, I believe that it will. Smooth out some of my rough edges here a little bit. There we go. I see I've got a drop of water there that I want to be mindful of. There we go. Now let me go back in and give their necks a little bit of definition. There we go. And this is drying, so there we go. Oh, these girls are looking cute. They're looking cute. One thing that Julie does, and I just think this is just such a brilliant idea, is that she puts a little bit of spatter down around the ground. It kind of just looks like they're, you know, dancing in a bunch of, you know, confetti or sequins or stardust or something wonderful. So I think this is a good idea. Use some of the colors that you have used already. And I'm gonna, and just do a little, just a little. And let's rinse that off and then go into our other color. And might need a little more water. So we've got our blue and purple, and then yeah, and this is not messy too. When I do a lot of spattering that I do tends to get big, you know, big and messy, and I do it, you know, in a box. But oh, now see this one, I might have covered up their faces, so I didn't spatter on their face if I had been thinking, because I was a little bit sloppy. But there, I think I just picked up that little bit of purple. But anyway, Julie then chooses a third color. Why don't we maybe do some orange? Should we do some orange? And I'm gonna drop a little mask over their little faceless faces, so I don't get too many spatters on them. Although it wouldn't be bad if I did, but all right. Little bit of orange. There we go. Little goes a long way. And there's our dancing girls. There they are. Now, even though this is on a book page with gesso, and I have glued it down to a piece of lightweight scrapbook paper, and it's warping a little bit. But I think it's going to straighten out just fine and be a lovely tag or a pocket to go into a junk journal. Let's set these girls, these lovely people aside, and I'm going to do another piece. I think I'm going to do a pocket using Julie's technique for flowers. And yeah, 5 inches, that's just fine for a pocket. And I think maybe I'll go ahead and punch a divot in the top just so I know that it's a pocket. Should we do that? There we go. I'll probably distress it later, but how do I want to do this? Julie has a lot of good kinds of flowers that she has, again, in this, if you search Very Beginning Watercolor on her channel, she will lead you through that process. So let's come in a little bit closer again. Try to move this here. And she starts flowers with dots. She just puts like little dots in a circle. And let me just start with this orange, as long as I have the orange activated. All right, so if I remember the steps, she uses just a small round brush and does a bunch of dots in a circle. And then she rinses and dabs on a towel or a paper towel. And then while this is all wet, she comes in and does these little petals like this. I have not done this before. This is live action learning, friends. There we go. And then let's do some more dots. Oh, you know, one thing, I don't know if you can see this. There's a blob of water on this metal part. What did Julie call it? A ferrule? I don't remember what the name of this portion of the brush is. But when you rinse off your brushes, like I'm, going in over here, I tend to not dry up here, and drops can drop into the water. So again, that's something I've learned from Julie to be mindful of. That those drops that cling can sometimes wreak a little bit of havoc. On your project. Okay, so this is, I would put this in the not great category. I'm gonna add a little water and spread this out. I just rewatched this video this morning. I think I'm not doing this technique right. But there's a few little flowers in there. Let's do another one, shall we? Maybe I can pick up a lot of pigment here. Do this one in this corner. There's several different kinds of flowers that I want to do. She does such nice little dots. My dots kind of tend to come out looking like hyphens or commas rather than periods, but I think that's something that, okay, rinse, dry, and come back. Anyway, I think that practice is definitely going to help me here. Well, that looks a little peculiar, doesn't it? Let's add another one here. And maybe another one up here. There we go. And maybe we'll do let's do another one right here. And then I kind of want to do, she has a really neat technique for using, making roses. So I'm going to try that too. Oh, I feel so bold. Now, one of the reasons I really wanted to do this, you know, although I'm not an expert, is to kind of emphasize that you don't need to be an expert to have fun. You know, expertise is not a requirement to do artwork. It certainly is. If you're an expert at having fun, that's all you need to do. Or if you're learning how to have fun, do that too. Because, you know, guess what? Is anybody in my craft room with me right now looking over my shoulder? Just you. Nobody's coming in here saying, Anne, give it up. Go take a nap. Go, you know, play cards. Go weed the garden. Do not pick up those watercolor brushes. There's no future in it. Don't do it. Save the world. Nobody's saying that. And nobody's saying that to you either. There we go. All right, now what Julie does, and it looks like my pigment is a little bit heavier over here. I think her flowers were a little more sheer. Which I liked. So again, next time I'll try that. But she likes to add, maybe I'll give it a little water. You know, you pick up a feel for how your paint is reacting here. But she goes and adds a little darkness around the inside here, and then kind of pulls it out, which is admittedly adds more visual dimension if you're starting with a more sheer base. But I'm going to go through the motions anyway. Now, one thing she did include in the video from about 3 weeks ago was a cool way to make leaves. And I will tell you, friends, my leaves do not, I need a lot more practice doing leaves before I can feel confident adding them to a project. So that's, you know, I might take some of these little extra offcuts of my book pages and practice some leaves on that. But that's likely to be somewhat disastrous. I like to have things in odd numbers in groupings. So let's add one more set of orange, one more little orange flower over here. And then we'll do a rose down in this area. How about that? And with this one, because I like to think I'm learning with every attempt, I will try to make this a little more sheer. Well, that's so sheer, it's almost invisible. I'm going to keep with that and see, maybe I can just add some more layers. Okay, this looks like it could use a couple more petals. And rinse, come back with a brush that has been dabbed, and a little sheer petal here. Honestly, these really are these are very, very pale. But you gotta try different things, don't you? All right, now I'm going to come back in and use this little, can you even see this? There we go. This is becoming rather dry, but while it's still moist here, moist, there's that word that many people don't like. Bothers me a little bit, but I'm better about it than I used to be. My grandson likes to tease me, Grandma, moist, 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 moist. Pull that out. And I'm going to add a little bit of water. There we go. Okay, so this, I'm going to add a little more definition to those petals. I'm going to add some centers, but I want to get on and do the roses, because those I feel were sort of the crown jewel of Julie's floral, her floral video. So let me activate this red. Not that roses have to be red. It looked easy the way she did it. But we will see. Okay, so I've activated this red. Keep jumping up to see if I'm in frame, because I did want to come in closer here for you. Yeah, I want to make certain my brush is a little bit dry, because she did her roses. She did kind of a little snail thing. You know what? I'm going to practice. I'm going to practice first. Let me practice on this little offcut. I think it's fine to practice. I want to do just a little thin little line like that as the center. I want this to be a little more dry. Got a little bit too much water in my brush. I guess there's a solution for that. It's called drying off your brush. Okay, I'm gonna make that little snail-like thing. And that's gonna be the center of the rose. And there we go. Now, what Julie did next was she just did these little C-shaped things around this little snail center. These little crescent moons. And I haven't done this before. You are seeing the maiden voyage. It could be like the Titanic, I don't know. I want to let that pigment kind of run out, because I want lots of coloration or variation in the colors as I build out. Okay, so I've got these 3 little crescent moons, and I think we can kind of see where we're going with this. Her instructions are just so good, though. Honestly, you're gonna enjoy that. And kind of try to, as you build out, kind of try to bridge the gaps in these C shapes as you go around. I kind of think I see a rose taking shape. Do you? I'm going to bring this one over a little bit more. So make kind of a short one here. Julie just makes you feel good about just going for it, just trying it. And there's another one. She did several. And there's gaps between each one. I could kind of keep going forever here. Let me come over and do a little bridge this gap and make it kind of a little more irregular. That's what I liked about hers, is that she let the petals just sort of form almost organically. These are not rigid C shapes, obviously. They're looking more like worms than they are C shapes, but that is okay. And let's just kind of come around here and do just a couple more. There's nothing special about the brushes I have. This is a size 2, and I know that only because it's marked on there. I just sort of got I think I got just a beginner's set very unexpectedly on Amazon a few months ago. I think it was before our camping trip. Does that look like a rose? Let's do one more. I don't know. It might look a little like a rose. Maybe I'll do another one down here. Shall I do another? I'm gonna maybe make this one a little bit smaller. There we go. And I'm gonna add a little more water to my palette so that my C shapes that are in these petals are maybe a little more sheer, a little less intense with the pigment. And maybe a little more water. I find myself with every project I do, I feel like I'm learning a little bit more about just how the pigment feels, and observing how I think it's gonna react. And it's just so interesting to watch the water, watch it push the pigment around, watch it draw the color into different spaces, watch the color sort of bloom if it's dropped onto a wet area. I'm going to do just one more here. We're going to call this done. Of course, as soon as I say that, I'm going to want to go do more, but all right, there are a couple more little roses. This obviously does not look like a complete canvas, so let's just kind of finish up with a couple more things. Where else? Actually, this would be a good time for me to practice my leafage. Let me kind of screw up my nerve to do so by adding, because these are kind of dry to the touch, I'm going to add some centers into these. Just put little dots. Gonna get over my leaf, my fear of leafage. Yeah. What color green should we make them? Let's go with something maybe kind of a deep olivey. And because I've only watched the Julie's floral video. I mean, I've watched it a three times, I guess. But I was focused more on the flowers because I thought leaves, I'm just not going to go there. So I might not have retained a lot of the leaf information. I feel like I should be using the palette a little bit more and maybe mixing a couple of colors. So let me just kind of pull back because there we go. Heavens. Sorry about that. I'm gonna maybe pick up a little bit of yellow here in this. All right, let me just gonna, these are not expert leaves, but I do think it needs some green. Sorry, I made a hash out of that, that pulling up to, on the close-up earlier. That was a little bit more of a extreme close-up than I meant to have. And maybe do one leaf here. These are not great leaves, but they might work. At least I'm getting a little green there. I've seen YouTube videos of people that use those chiseled brushes, you know, that have the bristles are all flat and then they're cut at an angle, and they do some really interesting things making leaves that have you know, different kinds of motion going on. But I watch them with great interest, and I do not make those, not yet, but maybe I will. It just adds, the watercolor just adds a different sort of life to a journal, particularly if you're doing something kind of whimsical. Picking up a little bit of yellow here. Now, let me see if I can remember. There was one thing Julie did that involved, okay, I'm going to pull out my practice piece here instead. And I think she just took her, I think she just took her brush and pressed it down like that. Let's give it a try. Let's just give that a try. You know, it feels like it's you're committing to something when you put that brush down to the paper, but you know, you're not committing to anything. You know what you're doing? You're learning. You're learning every time you put a little blob of paint down. And you know what? Maybe I'm going to make a little stem here. How about that? And pick up some more of the yellow that was already there on my palette. And let's just do a little bit more. You just press. I'm not drawing. I'm just pressing the brush down with the paint in it. Oh, I can't believe it. They look cute. Let's do one more set of leaves over here. Yeah, if you're somebody who's been doing watercolor for a while, how did you start? Tell us of your journey. Tell us what you learned that was a real breakthrough for you. I have these leaves sort of floating out here out of nowhere. So I guess maybe I should put some stems on there. And maybe just a little bit of leafage up here. And then I have an idea. My angle isn't right here, so I'm kind of messing this up. All right, I am feeling good about this, and I'll tell you what I'm going to do. If I can find it on my messy desk. I had not planned to do this, but here it is. I have this grateful stamp that I use a lot, and I stamped some of these. They were just on the side of my my desk. I am grateful for this, for having the opportunity to learn from an expert like Julie and to be able to share this with you. This is what I am grateful for, and I'm just gonna put that here on my pocket. And without disturbing any of my wet flowers or wet leaves, I think I can gently distress the edge of this. I'm kind of impressed with how nicely this book page took, this gessoed book page took to the watercolor. I'm rather impressed with that. I think I'm gonna put this grateful just right down here, because that's how I'm feeling right now. It's always good to learn something new. And I'm going to have fun journaling about this experience. So anyway, I know you are going to have fun when you challenge yourself to have this joyful journey, like these joyful little dancers here, dancing in confetti. And I bet you're going to feel grateful just like I do. That's it for today. Thank you so much, guys. Bye-bye.